Blessed evening and blessed Sabbath to all our viewers and listeners joining us right here on BSM TV for our live question and answer with Elder Mashiri. Blessed evening, Elder Mashiri.
Blessed evening.
Yes, today we are back again with some questions that have to do with the second coming of Christ. I see there are events that have been lined up in the Bible, which many of us are not aware of. So we are going to be answering some of these questions that have to do with the second coming of Christ. It looks like there is a lot of things that are there in relation to the second coming of Christ. So this evening we'll have those questions, and next week we are getting closer and closer to the feast of Passover. So it's going to be interesting what we are going to be having the Friday before we start the Passover. So stay tuned right here on BSM TV. So before we waste time, we're going to go straight into the first question that we have here on BSM TV.
Greetings to Elder and BSM TV viewers. There's a question here from another viewer. It's from CET 100.2. Let me read the quotation. It says, "Then Jesus will step out from between the Father and men, and God will keep silence no longer, but pour out his wrath on those who have rejected his truth. I saw that the anger of the nations, the wrath of God, and the time to judge the dead were separate and distinct, one following the other. Also that Michael had not stood up, and that the time of trouble, such as never was, had not yet commenced. The nations are now getting angry, but when our high priest has finished his work in the sanctuary, he will stand up, put on the garments of vengeance, and then the 7 last plagues will be poured out." So now, in reference to the events above, the viewers would like to know, where do we put the second advent of Christ? Thank you.
Right. Well, there is quite a lot that has been presented by the viewer there. I see there's Michael standing up, the angry nations, and quite a number of things that have been mentioned, and also the vengeance that is going to be done by the Lord. So in most cases, all these are made to point to the second coming of Christ, or things that are going to happen when Christ comes the second time, or in the clouds. So I don't know how best can you differentiate this or help the viewer with this question.
Thank you. We saw from CET where she was reading that the general consensus of everyone is to expect the second coming. And we are telling ourselves second, and that's it. But we should know that there is a series of events before that coming that we are expecting. And normally when people say the second coming, they are expecting the coming of Thessalonians. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16, in the clouds. Yes. But they forget one thing. There are a series of events that have been mentioned in that quote of CET. Page 102, and let's see if we can see that quotation as she read. There is the sending of Michael, which I saw, and there is the nations, the anger from the nations, and the anger from God himself, and where we saw Michael standing up, the 7 last plagues. And the time of trouble, such as never was, where the end of nations is. So you see that all that has been clustered by that quotation, and it does not give people the sequence, really. It's just clustered together, like what Sister White said. And you know that Sister White also will go with the scroll as it is unrolled. Yes. Like it was with Daniel. Daniel was seeing something, yet John, who moved further to the event, so more clearer how Daniel had said in Daniel chapter 7, verse 9, there will be a rainbow. So if John was to go to the judgment scene and look for the rainbow, he wouldn't find the rainbow. Yes. So what happened was John saw clearer what was not seen by Daniel. So, meaning, those who have lived in the last days, like we are, should see clearer events than what Sister White was saying. Sister White just jumbled on all the things in CET there and without the sequence of the events. So, for instance, even comparing Daniel and John, Daniel was seeing this rainbow, but what did John see? John saw a fairy stream issued. This is what he saw. No rainbow was seen by John, but what could have meant the fairy stream in the time of Daniel was the same fairy stream, and he was saying it's a rainbow. So that's how it looked. And then also, what did Daniel see? The Ancient of Days sitting there. But John, who lived near, saw even the 24 elders. If you go to Revelation chapter 4, you find that there's 24 elders. There is even beasts, 4 beasts. One looked like a lion, one like a man, the eagle, and the calf. So you see, all that was what John saw, who was nearer the incident of the judgment scene. But Daniel didn't mention about the 4 beasts. It's 10,000 and thousands ministered, you know. But here, John is telling us exactly of those 1,000 who were ministering, that there is even 4 beasts, which was representing the redeemed. Yes. Because these beasts, when you see in Revelation 5, they are talking, for you have redeemed us. They said that they have been redeemed. So they were arranged as beasts, as we saw even in Revelation. The beasts are arranged to represent civilization or the people. So you could see that John was seeing further to Daniel and
to what Daniel was seeing,
to what Daniel saw, and more than what we didn't hear from Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. Now, this is the same what Sister White is doing in that court and CET. Just saw anger of God, anger of nations, Michael standing up now to see what exactly she's talking about there, and also is talking about the 7 last plagues. Now we have to actually, in the last days, we have to know exactly the sequence of the events, so that we are not taken, you know, God knew that the people who lived when the scroll is unrolled will come up with the sequence of the events. So for us to come to the sequence of events, let me just give you from 2SR, right below there. You find 2SR, page 165.3. Let's just read that bit there. Where it says, when this number is sealed. So because Sister White saw people being sealed, that is in our day. So let's start from in our day.
In our time, yes.
Yes.
When this number is sealed, probation will close for the church.
So she's talking of probation closing for the church, not for the whole world. So all these sequences of events are further unfolded to us, that when the sealing of the 144,000 is made up, the probation for the church is closed. And what else?
When this number is sealed, probation will close for the church, and the judgment for those who are in the world will commence.
You see? So she's talking now. When we read from this court, we are seeing there are now 2 clauses of probation. First, for the church. So that's why it's so important now for the church to make sure it fortifies in the messages of the seals, because the probation for the church closes first before the world. Now,
so one cannot say, I'll wait for the probation for the world if they miss out on the probation.
I've heard many people say so and say they are waiting for the 666, which has nothing to do with the church. The church is being judged now by the 3 seals that are being thrown to us, because they have to receive the 3 seals, which we saw in early writing, page 15. God, New Jerusalem, and the glorious star containing Jesus' new name. These are this is the test for the church. If others have to receive the seal and others have to reject the seal, so don't you see it was a test coming? And if you said it was the Sabbath, which is in the first seal, which is God, probably let's read early writing 15, because if we say 3 seals without saying it from the scriptures. People don't know what the seal is, and some will just go as far as the Sabbath, and they don't know there's something further to the Sabbath. Now, read on me. Verse 15, page 15, early writings.
The 144,000 were all sealed and perfectly united.
Right.
On their foreheads was written, God, New Jerusalem, and a glorious star containing Jesus' new name.
So you see, there are three. So the first one is saying God. The only thing that shows God as a creator is the Sabbath. So I'm agreeing with the brethren who say we have gone to the third angel's message to believe the Sabbath is a seal, but they have got to go further to two more messages, which will give these other two seals, which the five foolish virgins did not obtain. Now, this is what Sister White saw. This is where we are on 2SR 165.3 is telling us that when the number of the sealed 144,000 are sealed, this is when most people go, do not go beyond that number. See, I mean, the sealing of the number. They say, once the 144,000 are sealed, next come heaven, we are gone. But there's still a series of events following the sealing of the 144,000. The first event we are given is the closing of probation of the church. And what else? When the sealing is finished,
As the tares perish at the time when probation is closing for the church, just so at the close of the judgment for the world, the sinners shall come to their end. The one is a figure of the other.
Right. So the closing of the probation for the church is a type, also is a figure of the closing of the probation for the world. For the world, if their probation closes, the following things are the 7 last plagues. So we saw in that CET, we have 7 last plagues. It comes as a punishment to those who received 666.
Okay.
But to those who ignored the 3 seals in the church, Ezekiel 9 comes, that's the vengeance, where Christ went into the Holy of Holies, in 1844. That's why William Miller was preaching about 2,300 days, and that time was the going of Christ into the Holy of Holies, only to determine the fate of the 144,000, of those who do not receive the seal. Because what he's doing there, he's making up the number, the 144,000. And those who did not go into that number, who rejected the seal, he is making effect of the Ezekiel chapter 9. That's where we say, when he finishes that, he puts up the garment of vengeance. For the church first. That's
so tell me, I think that's it would be nice to clarify that part. So we have the church and their probation, and then we have the world and probation. So when the probation of the church closes, the world will still be going on.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
But because the destruction of those who rejected this, Ezekiel chapter 9, they rejected the seal. Destruction is what will cause the world to be enraged and say, okay, it was maybe the wrong day of worship.
That's why they've been destroyed.
Then they will start what is called the National Sunday Law. To change that day, because they do not want to go through that destruction again. But
so Ezekiel 9 would trigger. Ezekiel 9 would trigger the Sunday Law.
Ezekiel 9 will close the probation of the church.
For the church,
what is called the purification of the church. But at the same time, the 4 winds of Revelation chapter 7 will open
are loosened.
They loosen. And this is what gets the world into the religious matters. And then starts the National Sunday Law and the 666. That's where it starts. So you see, it has nothing to do with those who are being judged now in the church. It has nothing, that 666 has nothing to do with that.
So when the 666 comes, when the 666 comes, those in the church will have been sealed and protected from the 666. So they will not be affected. Okay.
Those who have already been sealed, that's why they say they will be able to stand without any intercessor. So the seal is their protection.
Okay.
But those who don't have the seal in that time when the seven, when the four winds
are loosened.
Those without the seal will. Ezekiel chapter 9 has the 6 angels coming into their destruction, like it did in the Passover when they walked out of Egypt. Okay. The angel was going into those who did not have the 3 strokes of blood on the door. And they were all destroyed. The firstborns were destroyed. And we have it in Ezekiel 9. This will be what will be happening when the close of probation of the church. But at the same time, the kingdom is commencing. That's where we are seeing the rage of the way of the nations.
Okay.
Because now the winds have opened up. So what is in the winds? These wars, they start from the nations. Which wars? The particular war which starts is to interfere with the religious world. When the 666 is done, then this comes in.
Okay.
What is the 666? It is this, Candelo, and also the 4 winds releasing all these troubles, so that they interfere with the church. So we have 2 types of destruction. We have in Ezekiel, in Revelation 7, where it says the 4 winds are let loose.
Yes, hold, yes.
Now they will be let loose after the 144,000 are sealed, because they were just stopped until the sealing is done. So the sealing is done in the church of God. So when they are let loose, this is going to involve the world now into the religious world. And at the same time, in Ezekiel 9, because page 445, testimonies to ministers, it says, the same seal which was shown to John on Revelation 7 is the same also
that
shown
was
to Ezekiel
shown
9.
To Ezekiel. Yes.
Right? So Ezekiel 9 does not have 4 winds. The 4 winds are Revelation 7.
In John,
but
yes.
Ezekiel chapter 9 has got the 6 men with slaughter weapons on Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 1 up there. And then verse 4, they go in to put the seal first, the men with writer's ingot, and then the others are commissioned to follow to slaughter those without the seal. And these are the angels that are guarding the house of God, which is being sealed right now. So the vengeance of the nation is these 4 winds. The vengeance, the anger of the nations is these 4 winds coming in. And the anger of God is when the 6 angels that are in Ezekiel 9 go in now to punish those who did not receive the 3 seals. This is what we are having on CET there. So the standing of Michael, which we saw in Daniel, is when now Michael comes to commission these angels to go in and commissions them to go in and do not go near any with the mark. But Michael will be up now on earth. And this is what we call the establishment of the kingdom. He will be there in Israel, in Jerusalem, standing on Mount Zion. And while this is going on, it will be a Passover. Like it was in Egypt. It was a Passover when the slaughter was done. Yes. So we don't know which year, but when you're talking of the second coming, it starts with that. So we saw when now the message is extended to the world. Up until it was the time now of the 666, up until the last soul is collected to the kingdom in Jerusalem. Then the world also received its punishment, those who refused the mark of God and went to the 666. They will have their 7 last plagues. I think in a nutshell, this is exactly what the question I was asking. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that. So the establishment of the kingdom, when Christ establishes his kingdom here on earth, right? That time when he establishes that kingdom, right? at what point does the Ezekiel 9, is it when you said when Michael stands up, then Ezekiel 9 will come in? Is that period?
These things are happening in conjunction. So that you will not say them all at the same time, but
they are interlinked somehow.
They are interlinked because when Michael stands,
yes,
it is the prophet where he comes to stop a process which is going on in his land.
Okay.
So it comes to interfere. This is in Daniel chapter 11. He comes to interfere. So when you are a reader of prophets, you should be checking what exactly is happening on the current news. And that will show you that he is now about to stand. And when he stands, it is only when he stands, like we read there, that it's only after the 144,000 have received their seal, we start by Michael standing. Now, if you read, let's read another quote, and then you see that. Go to 2T, Testimonies for the Church, page 191. The 2 Testimonies for the Church, page 191, first paragraph there. And you read from where it says, Jesus has left us word.
Jesus has left us word. Watch ye therefore,
right?
For ye know not when the master of the house cometh.
Right. So this standing of Michael, he says you should watch. That's why it should be known. That's why he commissions us to watch, because it should be known. If you don't watch, you won't find it. Now, read on, let's hear.
At even, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning,
right?
Lest coming suddenly, he will find you sleeping.
Right. So he does not want to drop suddenly.
No.
Are not expecting. He wants us to watch. Lest when he comes, he just suddenly comes. And then why does he suddenly come? Because people were not studying the coming of Christ in the kingdom. They were studying the other coming of Christ in the clouds. So it says he's just going to, is coming suddenly. Now, read on, let's hear. Lest suddenly he find you sleeping. So
sleeping,
if you do not know he is coming, you'll be sleeping. But Paul tells us in Thessalonians that the sleeping is the people who are not keeping the times
aware
the
times.
Which are the feasts. If you're not keeping the feast, you will be found asleep. You won't even know why, because the second coming, Great Controversy, page 399, says the second coming is in the symbolic service. So unless he will find you sleeping. So that's why Paul said, let us not sleep like those who are sleeping. We are of the day. We should be watching. Thessalonians chapter 5, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. The whole chapter, if you read it, he wants us to watch. And he says, of the times and seasons. What makes us watch? The times and seasons. And we only find those times and seasons in the symbolic service.
Symbolic service. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this is why he's saying on Testimonies for the Church, in volume 2, page 191, says, watch therefore. Now read on. Yeah.
And what I say unto you, I say unto all.
Right.
Watch.
Yeah. And
we are waiting and watching for the return of the master, who is to bring the morning, lest coming suddenly he will find us asleep.
Right.
What time is here referred to?
Right.
Not to the revelation of Christ in the clouds of heaven, to find as people sleeping. No. But to his return from his ministration in the most holy place.
Right. So of we the know heaven. He entered in the holy place, Holy of Holies in 1844. Lest when he comes out, he find you not watching. And what?
Oh, sorry, before you go there. So coming out from the most holy place is not the coming of him in the clouds. This is what I'm hearing.
No, that's not coming, because the first coming, when he comes, he will come as Michael, standing before the probation of the earth in Daniel chapter 12. It says when he comes, What precedes is coming. The time of trouble, such as never was, which is number 666. When these four winds are let loose, they are let loose when he is here already. If you read properly in Daniel chapter 12, that's the sequence. So when he is coming is when we are now with our day-to-day work. He's going to come. And that's why I say he will come suddenly to other people who thought there would be a big key to lock the world. Now he's about to come. No. He will just find us like this.
And
but
this
if
you are
you were,
and this you are reading.
If you are watching, like he says, if you are watching by keeping the times and seasons, you will know. You won't take you by surprise. We are of the day, not of the night.
Not of the night. It's amazing because you are reading from Testimonies to
Testimonies, volume 2.
Volume 2, and it was written by Sister White, and she's actually saying, when he comes out of the most holy place,
yes,
it's not the coming in the clouds.
No, not at all.
Oh, yeah.
Because so he finds people sleeping, not ready. Because he's coming in the clouds, his saints will be ready. They will know. They don't need to be told the dead. They will know because they will be in the kingdom. But this coming, you will certainly come to people who are not ready. That's why he says, what? Now read on this here.
Wow, yeah.
What time is here referred to? Not to the revelation of Christ in the clouds of heaven to find a people asleep. No.
That's not the coming he's talking about. She's talking about. She's talking of a different coming, and the
coming
people
altogether
who are supposed to be reading this book in Testimonies for the church, are waiting for a wrong coming. That's why they are sleeping. That's why he says they are sleeping. The 10 virgins were sleeping. Why? Because they were expecting the coming in the clouds. But here, Sister White clearly says, not to the revelation of Christ in the clouds of heaven to find the people sleeping. No, it's not that coming.
No.
And says,
but to his return from his ministration in the most holy place of the heavenly sanctuary, when he lays off his priestly attire and clothes himself with the garments of vengeance, and when the mandate goes forth.
Right. So you know exactly the sequence from Sister White's writing. He says, first, when he removes himself from the Holy of Holies, where he went in 1844, he's coming out, he takes off the robe of
the priestly garments,
which he had been making sure the 144,000 are being filled. This is what he was doing, making them righteous. So he removed that gown, and when he goes out of the Holy of Holies, and next, what does he do? He's not coming in the cloud yet, but he is coming and finds people sleeping. So when he comes to find people sleeping, he's not coming in the clouds.
No.
So by right, we were supposed to be saying the second coming is this one, when he finds people sleeping. But we have been born in the notion that the second coming is in the clouds. But you see, Sister White clearly says, this coming when he comes out of the Holy of Holies, when he removed the gown, is not the coming in the clouds, but it is that coming when he has got to have vengeance of those who refused his seal.
Wow.
Right.
When Jesus ceases to plead for man, the cases of all forever decided.
Right.
This is the time of reckoning with his servants. To those who have neglected the preparation of purity and holiness, which fits them to be waiting ones, to welcome their Lord, the sun sets its gloom and darkness and rises not again.
That's why it is called the great and dreadful day. Why? It's great to those who have been preparing. It's dreadful to those who are found sleeping, because they've been preparing for a wrong coming. And let me tell you, the coming in the cloud does not tell you to prepare by keeping the feast or by keeping, the 3 seals. The 3 seals are mainly to prepare people to be in the kingdom. So they are found because they did not receive, they did not read these messages for 3 seals. They are found sleeping. They did not know even the coming to the kingdom. They were waiting for a wrong coming when they are just supposed to walk. So there's nothing to do while they are waiting. But when you are waiting for walking in the kingdom, you will know that there are 3 seals for you to fortify in those messages and receive those 3 seals. Read on. Let's see. Probation.
Okay.
The sun,
To those who have neglected the preparation of purity and holiness, which fits them to be waiting ones to welcome their Lord, the sun sets in gloom and darkness and rises not again. Probation closes.
Right.
Christ's intercession ceases in the heaven.
Right.
That this time finally comes suddenly upon all, and those who have neglected to purify their souls by obeying the truth and are found sleeping.
Right.
They became weary of waiting and watching. They became indifferent in regard to the coming of their master. They longed not for his appearing and thought there was no need of such continued persevering watching.
Right. So because when up to the 3rd angel's message in Revelation chapter 14, verse 9, they did not know there's still another message, verse 14 and 15. They did not know there's still another message, verse 16 to 17. All these messages, they did not get themselves involved into reading the further top up of the message to the lamp, where the five wise, they were busy. There was no time for the 5 wise virgins because they were busy with the 3 seals. But they did not feel the need to top up the vessels. So the time became so long in waiting. And yet to the five wise, the time is not long because there's a lot to read. There's a lot to prepare for that coming. So when he came, he found the 5 foolish. Like when you go to the parable of Matthew, chapter 13 of the 10 virgins, you find that they were found without the extra 2 messages or the extra oil, but they had to go to read. And they came knocking, but it was unfortunately, it was too late. That's why Christ said, go away, I never knew you. What did he say? Because they were not with these 2 more messages, so they were not known. Because they should have been with this present truth.
With the present truth.
To top up to the 3rd angel's message. But they didn't. That's why Christ said, I never knew you. Because you never advanced to the 5 angels. So if you bear that the 10 virgins are there that are it's the church, the Sabbath keepers. That's the 10 virgins.
Yes.
But some are not with the five messages, as it is in Revelation 14, verse 6 up to 17. They have gone up to 9. That's it. And they don't have the extra oil. But some have gone to 5. So the waiting, they made sure they were fortifying themselves with the 2 extra seals to make them 3, as in early writing, page 15. So that's why this sequence of events, now we have seen them, and Sister White has clearly laid down them that some of them occur up to the probation of the church and it's finished, and then further others to the probation of the world, and then we see the 7 last plagues. Right.
Yeah, it's quite very informative, and I think my friends and colleagues, I think we have a lot of fun learning to do it, because we used to study that when Christ exits the most holy place, this is the end of everything, and Christ is going to come down.
It's not a matter of waiting. It's not a matter of waiting for him. It's a matter of getting busy with these messages of the seal, so that we are found also ready. Because when he comes, if you see it in that very chapter on 2T testimonies for the church, page 191, you see on the 2nd paragraph, it will say, if such had only known, read from there.
If such had only known that the work of Christ in the heavenly sanctuary would close so soon, how differently would they have conducted themselves?
That's why they have a different life. Those who have 5 messages with them, and those were only 3. Their lives are different. Why? Because some have realized he's going to suddenly come. The work is very soon. So that has affected their lives so that they live in preparation for the coming. But those who think, yes, delayed and there's nothing to prepare, we are tired of waiting because they did not fortify in the other 2 messages which are supposed to seal them.
Yes.
Their lives became completely different from those who are preparing for the kingdom. Now it says, if such had only known that the work of Christ in the heavenly sanctuary would close so soon. So he's coming out from the Hall of Holies. It will just close so soon.
So this event of coming out is very important.
Yes, it's very important.
And we have to follow Christ.
If you miss that one, you don't even get even the coming in the clouds. It is very, very extremely important.
So if it's important, then it means the symbolic service should be very, very important, because this is how we are going to know.
That is the gospel that will make you know the coming out in the, because when he says the gospel has not been, the faith of Jesus has not been proclaimed, it's the one that makes you know about these comings. Now it says here, if such had only known that it was going to be soon, how differently would they have conducted themselves? So it means the conduct is also different. And
when you know and when you don't know.
Yeah.
How earnestly would they have watched?
Yeah, they were supposed to be earnest if they knew he was going to come out of the Hall of Holies very soon. They would have, behaved differently.
In a different way. Yeah.
The
master, anticipating all this, gives them timely warning in the command to watch.
That's why he says in the warning, you watch.
He distinctly states the suddenness of his coming. He does not measure the time, lest we shall neglect a momentary preparation, and in our indolence look ahead to the time when we think he will come, and defer the preparation. Watch ye therefore, for ye know not.
Right. So that's why he's telling us, watch. He didn't give the precise time. You will only, Sister White says, you will only give us before he comes, right? Near his time. But he says, watch. From the time he left, Paul and the disciples were watching. And we were watching when William Miller was watching. He says watching. But it's more imminent to watch in our time because now we are seeing the 4 winds releasing. He says when the 4 winds release, we see earthquake, disaster, pestilence. We are seeing all those things. So it's so imminent for us to watch than those in the time of Paul and others.
So tell me, Elder Maji, so if one says, so this watching that you're talking about, it looks like it's very specific what it means to watch from what you are saying. So if one says, I pray every day, I don't steal, I don't do this, I don't do that, are they watching?
It's just keeping the commandments. The commandments are only there to direct you what to do, whether this is stealing or this is promiscuity, this is breaking this law and that law. It's just to guide you. But
on top of that, now you have to watch.
The gospel on Leviticus is the one that gives you to watch. Why? Because you also add on to two more angels which were not there on the 3rd angel's message, and this will give you further 2 more seals. Like God is what we got up to the 3rd angel's message. But New Jerusalem and the glorious star containing Jesus' new name is what makes you watch.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I remember the rich young ruler came to Christ and then said, I keep this, I keep that, and then there was still something lacking. Is this so that's the same scenario with us in our time. So you are saying we should have the 10 commandments, we should keep them, they should guide us. But on top of that, we should have now the gospel of Leviticus to then help us to watch.
Yeah, I could have given you more quotations, but it would be rather, it's not a question and answer, it would be a sermon.
Yeah.
If you are to read on your own, You can go to 2TT 300.3.
2TT 300.3. Okay.
Those want to write 2TT 300.3. It's how the vengeance, that, because we saw in that quotation there was vengeance.
Yes.
I think we have to read that one on vengeance.
On vengeance.
3.
Okay.
Yeah, it's there.
Oh yes, yeah, because people want to know
just
whether,
after the other one.
Yeah.
Those who train the mind. That's what I want.
Those who train the mind to seize upon everything which they can use as a peg to hang a doubt and suggest these thoughts to other minds will always find occasion to doubt.
Right.
They will question and criticize.
In this edition of these messages, if you want to doubt, there's plenty of room.
There's plenty of
You will always find something to doubt, because it was like in Noah's time, they had not seen the rain. So there was plenty of occasions.
There was plenty of occasions.
Doubt. Yeah, you can doubt. But the only refuge is in the scriptures. The scriptures say, Sister White is a prophet, we all know. She can't lie. That this is not the coming of Christ in the cloud. When he takes up his vengeance, he comes direct to find people sleeping. That's what she said. So if you doubt also, Sister White, and then you go to the Bible, you go to Matthew chapter 25,
you doubt again.
Find people coming with the wheat and tares are together, and he's the one now to start separating them.
And having a dialogue.
Then, you can doubt as much as well. They say the doubters will even doubt until they see him in the kingdom.
And doubt.
The people taking the Lord, they'll still doubt. So the doubting won't stop. People will still peep in the kingdom and doubt him when he is there. It's there. The quotation says it. Now read on, let's see.
So, okay.
See, we want to see how doubters, there's room to doubt if you want to doubt. Yeah?
They will question and criticize everything that arises in the unfolding of truth. Criticize the work and the position of others. Criticize every branch of the work in which they have not themselves a part.
They are not even a part of the two other messages
extra, yes.
To make them 5. They don't even know them, but they want to criticize.
Criticize.
They want to doubt and criticize them. You know, they don't even know them. It's somebody who is only up to the 3rd angel's message, wanting to correct somebody who is up to the 5th angel's message. They criticize a work which they don't even have.
Which they themselves are not in it.
They don't even know it. You see? And then
they will feed upon the errors and mistakes and faults of others. Until, said the angel, the Lord Jesus shall rise up from his mediatorial work in the heavenly sanctuary and shall clothe himself with the garments of vengeance, and surprise them at their unholy feast. And they will find themselves unprepared for the marriage supper of the Lamb. Their taste has been so perverted that they would be inclined to criticize even the table of the Lord in his kingdom.
The kingdom and criticize even the table of God. So this doubting and criticizing, we have no much attention to it. What we do is just simply move on. We move on because we can't listen to them. They say they will doubt and criticize until they even doubt the table which Christ is serving.
So am I right to say that when Christ comes in the clouds and takes his people there, the wicked will be dead here?
Yes.
So when they're in heaven, there's no room for the dead to doubt. But it's when they're in the kingdom, whilst other people are alive.
Yes.
Now it's making sense to say it's in the kingdom where Christ is and is having a meal. And there are people outside the kingdom doubting that even Christ who is in there.
Criticizing. If this message was not criticized, Pastor, if no one is criticizing, it will shock us. We will say definitely it's wrong. But because there are so many people criticizing and doubting and even doing, and he said they won't stop there. They will go even to doubt and criticize the table which Christ is serving his saints in the kingdom. They will. Sister Will said they will. So we have no time to listen to the doubters. We have time to move on with the saints.
Yes. I want to say to our viewers and listeners, I think we need to go and read this verse, because when Christ comes to pick us up into the clouds, all the wicked will be dead, and there's no room for doubting because they are dead. But the reason why people are doubting is because the kingdom is established here on earth, and the wicked are still alive to see the kingdom. So let's go and read this one. That's my challenge to the viewers and listeners. Yes, Elder Machine.
Nice.
I think we have
for that topic we've dwelt on it so much. If you want more, we can make another clip of a video of a sermon how it is going to be like in those clustered events which need sequence.
Yeah, I think to the viewers, I think you should look out for that video. It will be coming soon. That will give us the sequence. Here, Elder Mashiri is just giving us a glimpse of what is going to be happening. And I think you have done justice to this question. And I think there are quite many questions in it. And we have seen a lot of facts to prove that there is going to be a kingdom here on earth before. And to those who were like me when I was growing up, that the coming out of Christ from the most holy place is not him coming in the clouds, but he's coming to do a certain work and to also establish a kingdom. Right. So thank you very much for that.
I had a lot of things, but since it's a very interesting topic, sometime I'll prepare a full layout of it so we can follow.
Yes, I also had a lot of questions, but because of our time, we have to continue to the next question. Yes. Right. Let's hear another question here.
Greetings, pastors and elders. Today my question is on Nahum chapter 1 verse 9, which reads, "What do ye imagine against the Lord? He will make an utter end. Affliction shall not rise up the second time." So what's the meaning of this statement in line with the second coming?
Right, there we go. That's the question. I think it's based on Nahum chapter 1 verse 9, where it talks of the second time. The affliction shall not rise the second time. So what is that to do with the second coming of Christ? Does it have anything to do with it? So Nahum chapter 1, that's the question that we have. I see you are smiling there. Yes.
Because after the eradication of this sin, it has been well laid by the sanctuary services. On the Day of Atonement, we saw all sins laid on top of the head of the God.
Scapegoat. Yes.
And everything was laid on this scapegoat to make sure that the camp was clean. And whoever had not confessed his sin died together with that scapegoat. So there is no more sinning after that. It was a sample in type showing that after this, we go to the Holy of Holies. After the Holy of Holies, when he comes out on that day, the priest came out, laid all the sins of the whole of Israel to the scapegoat.
Elder, you are talking
confess.
You are talking of the Day of Atonement. Am I right there?
Yes, it's the Day of Atonement.
So it was not done. It was not finished in 1844.
That was the time. And then we know Christ entered into the Holy of Holies on the Day of Atonement.
Day of Atonement.
In counting. But that does not nullify the actual Day of Atonement to be holy.
Okay.
Because even in the new heaven and new earth, in the 1,000 years, it was a Sabbath. That's why we keep the Sabbath in a typical manner.
Yes, pointing forward.
Sabbath, pointing to the 1,000 years of millennium. It's called the sabbatical year, the 1,000 years. But does it stop us keeping the Sabbath? No. Because in Isaiah 66, verse 22 up to, it says from one Sabbath to another, we still go to worship God. Though we know that we are in a sabbatical time. So here we know we are in an anti-typical Day of Atonement since 1844. But it does not nullify the Day of Atonement itself being a Sabbath.
So if he's going to come out, So we have to also wait for that process to be fulfilled, like what the high priest used to do in the sanctuary here on earth.
In the sanctuary service.
And then take our sins and put them on the goat of Azazel. Now, so, but this time it's on Satan.
Was pointing to the devil.
Okay.
And then those who died with the goat, the scapegoat, who did not confess their sin, they died together. They were thrown all together in. They would cast lots to see who did not, after the day of atonement, who did not confess his sin, and was taken together with the goat, which was thrown in a valley, deep valley to die there. We see the antitype of it is the devil in Revelation chapter 20 will be left in a bottomless pit. That is the bottomless, that is the huge valley where the scapegoat was thrown on the huge valley. That's the earth with nobody. It is a bottomless pit. And all the sins of the saints who are in heaven will be laid at last on top of the devil with the scapegoat, the antitype of the scapegoat. And then those who did not confess will die together with the devil. That's why so many people will be destroyed. Who did not confess their sin will remain the sin. Because the design, where is the design? In the sanctuary service. That's why we cannot eradicate the type. Because it is an object lesson of what will happen in our time.
So it means the Day of Atonement was not fulfilled in its fullness. It was just in part in him entering, but he hasn't come out.
You cannot say it's now fulfilled. Let's forget about it.
When Christ doesn't come out.
When all those people who did not confess will die together with the devil, it's still there. So
and
that's
the
why
sins
the
going on him
is still binding for us to keep as a Sabbath.
Right.
We still have a day to
rest. Because Colossians chapter 2 is used to nail all these things on the cross. But I'm seeing they have not, we have not reached the fulfillment of the Day of Atonement. It was just in part.
In selected actually in 233, when the message came with the elder John, they did not say the message was wrong, because they went to Sister White who confirmed the message was right. It was ceremonial system, ceremonial law, which came with A.T. Johnson work on Galatians chapter 4, where they were debating chapter 3, we're debating the schoolmaster, this law which was schoolmaster to send us to Christ. Now, in that, they did not say it is wrong. Sister White said there was an unwillingness to let go of the preconceived ideas.
Okay.
They thought worshiping God was only keeping 10 commandments. So there was an unwillingness to add on the ceremonials, the feasts. There was an unwillingness. They do not say it's not in the book, because the prophet who was there confirmed it's correct.
That it was true.
They actually rejected. That's why we have recorded down for us, and all our young ones who are going to generation and generation, they will read that one and see this is what happened. In 1888 at Minneapolis. So it was an unwillingness just to change. They did not want to change and adopt what God wanted them to have. So they continued only keeping 10 commandments. But the gospel is in the ceremonial law.
In the ceremonial law.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Sorry, I
what is there. We're still following the design of the sanctuary. It's still
from
there
the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I diverted you when you wanted to talk about Naomi chapter 1. It caught my eye about this issue about the Day of Atonement, and so hence I wanted you to clarify on that part. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So I was going to read, so you can read on your own. I was going to read all this in Great Controversy. It's GC 88, space 659, first paragraph. So the bottomless pit is still there. When all the sins will be thrown with the devil. Let's read it maybe. GC. Start with the point 2 that says,
the The expression.
Just go to point 659.1. Here is to be the home of Satan.
He is to be the home of Satan with his evil angels for 1,000 years.
Right?
Limited to the earth, he will not have access to other worlds to tempt and annoy those who have never fallen. It is in this sense that he is bound. There are none remaining upon whom he can exercise his power. He is wholly cut off from the work of deception and ruin, which for so many centuries has been his sole delight.
So the devil will have no one to deceive in the bottomless pit. So there's no more affliction or sin. It has been eradicated by the sanctuary service. You could have heard, I will also prepare a good lesson for that.
For the sanctuary service, yes.
Numerous quotations towards this. Unless you still want to elaborate.
No, I think, yeah.
I suggest you go and read the whole of this book, GC 88 space from 579 to 503. Everything is there to show that the sin will be eradicated according to the pattern which was in the sanctuary service.
Yes, yeah. To those who don't have these books, you can they are coming there in the comments box, so you can also copy them from the comments that are there as this life goes on. Right.
That's why Paul says those in Colossians chapter 2 verse 16. The meat and drink, the new moon, the holidays, the Sabbath, those feasts, they are still a shadow of things to come. It's this pattern of the sanctuary service still being followed until the eradication of the devil.
Yes. So if from where I'm standing here, I'm seeing that you cannot talk about the coming of Christ without the sanctuary or the sanctuary service or the symbolic service.
That's where the gospel is. That's the gospel. You wouldn't be talking about Moses, Aaron, and the Israelites just for, talking about the 10 Commandments. No. They were busy with the gospel, which was the ceremonial system. They were busy. That was their job description. Now, in our time, only the animals have been taken off, but the rest, we should be busy.
It's still
preparing for the kingdom, because these are the laws, the statutory laws that are going to judge us in the kingdom.
Right. Thank you very much. Let's go on to our next question and find out what it has in store for us.
A warm welcome to all the brethren all over the world. I would like to thank you for tuning in on this platform of BSM. My question today is on GC 322.2. Says, not until the personal advent of Christ can his people receive the kingdom. The followers of Christ are to wait for the Lord when he will return from the wedding. Luke 12 verse 36, GC 427.1. Please harmonize these two statements from the inspiration.
All right, there we go. The viewer has quoted one of Sister White's book, the Great Controversy, I think 322.2, which says, not until the personal advent of Christ can his people receive the kingdom. And what Luke chapter 12 verse 36 says, the followers of Christ are to wait for their wedding, for the Lord, when he will return from the wedding. So how do you harmonize now these two scriptures, the Bible and the yes.
There are other facts jumbled up again. Then
in this,
I've seen people actually getting confused with this statement.
Yeah.
Why? Because they think the kingdom just comes at the final coming of Christ in the clouds.
Yes.
Not know that the kingdom. For us to proceed, let's just go to a quote. Yeah, and I'll give you early writings, page 251, first paragraph, so that I can explain exactly what that statement says. Let's read from where it says, look, yeah, EW 251. It starts where it says, Luke makes it quite clear. Just where the question was. You got it. If you want me, I will read it. So it just exactly. It says, please, among us, and then next.
Okay. Luke makes it quite clear that while Christ is in the most holy place,
right,
he will receive the kingdom or New
That's
Jerusalem.
the very first thing we should debate.
Right.
Christ went into the Holy of Holies.
Yes.
In Daniel chapter 7, verse 13. Let's go to it. Daniel chapter 7, verse. So, but he says Luke is making it clear to us, the one that he was asking here. Daniel chapter 7, verse 13. What happened in the Holy of Holies? What happened?
I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man,
right,
came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days,
right,
and they brought him before him. And there was given him dominion, a glory, and a kingdom,
right,
that all people, nations, and languages should serve him.
So he's got it from 1844. That's what he received. From the scriptures, it says he received those. He received the kingdom. But when you go again, you find that in Luke chapter 19, verse 11, when he saw that the inhabitants of the earth at that time when he came first, they were expecting him to establish this kingdom. But he hadn't received it in 1844. That kingdom had not been received. So in Luke chapter 19, verse 11, so he wanted to prove to them that it's not yet the time for that kingdom. What did he say? Luke chapter 19.
And as they heard these things, he added and spake a parable, because he was nigh to Jerusalem, and because they thought that the kingdom of God should immediately appear.
So in the first advent, when he came, they were only expecting him to establish the kingdom. And yet he had come to die on the cross. Just repeat it. They wanted Christ to establish the kingdom in the time of AD 31. And then in Luke chapter 19, when you've been reading, we saw that Christ saw their thoughts, read their thoughts, and said, that parable which was going to follow. Read chapter 19, verse 11.
And as they heard these things, he added and spake a parable, because he was nigh to Jerusalem, and because they thought that the kingdom of God should immediately appear.
You see what the devil does? In that time, they were supposed to expect Christ to come and die on the cross. But the devil made them very enthusiastic about the coming to establish the kingdom, which was a further step, after a step further, which they would do after Christ had died. But they were worried about the kingdom instead of his dying on the cross. So what happened was, he read their thoughts that they want the kingdom to be established. And when you saw the other time when he fed the 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fishes, they wanted to grab him by force to establish the kingdom. So as they were doing that, you can see that Christ gave them a parable. And they were seeing that they were heading towards Jerusalem. So they knew the kingdom is going to be in Jerusalem. Now, that's why the parable, let's hear the parable.
He said, therefore, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return.
Nobleman is himself. It's Christ himself. He's saying, I'm still going to go back, and nobleman, I'm going back. What for? To receive a kingdom. The reason why he went back. He went back to receive the kingdom, and also to go in the Holy of Holies to prepare those people who are supposed to inherit the kingdom. Yeah, that's why he had to go back. And what happened?
And he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds and said unto them, occupy till I come.
So he gave them the kingdom message to occupy till he comes. Exactly these 10 citizens, one of them did not do any work. But one said, I've worked and I've gained another, and the other one said, I gained 5 more, and so many. But there's one who did not do, who says, I know we cannot have this man to reign over us. So he was predicting that in this time, people will never want the kingdom message because it meant that Christ is going to rule. So he says, we cannot have this man to rule over us. Why? Because that's the kingdom message. If the kingdom message is not wanted, you can see it's not wanted. What are they saying? We don't want this man to come and establish the kingdom on earth. And yet the scripture is so clear that Michael shall stand. And then after he stands, it's not the end of the world in Daniel chapter 12. When he stands next, what comes after him? The time of trouble.
The time of trouble, such as never was.
Which is 666. So we are seeing from this quote in early writing, page 251, that we have been reading. Just read it where you have seen before.
Jesus told. Jesus told the angels that all who found him, who understand the work which he was to perform.
All, he says, all who found him would understand the work. So he's saying his saints will understand that even if we cannot see him, he is in heaven. He has now,
and we understand what he's doing.
Kingdom. Yeah, what is he doing right now? Is making up the sealing process. He is sending all these messages up to the 5th one. That's the work he did when he went into the Holy of Holies. So our colleagues have stopped with the 9th, with the 3rd message. But we have gone as far as verse 17 of Revelation 14 to the 5th message to make sure we understand what he is doing. So he made all those parables because of what he's doing and what the kingdom will entail. He knew that there will be 5 foolish virgins who won't go to the 5 messages. So, but those who are going as far as 5 messages, they understand what he is doing. And when he comes out, they know he is coming to have vengeance over those who rejected the 3 seals, which he was doing. So what work is he doing in the Holy of Holies? Making sure he writes down, he makes us understand these extra messages.
So part of knowing what he is doing in the most holy place, does it also have something to do with knowing the name that he assumed when he did that?
There are 2 messages. Yes, there are 2 messages in Great Controversy, page 415. What is it? 415. Great Controversy.
Yes, because I heard that part you say they should understand. We need to understand what he's doing in the most holy place. And when we understand what he's doing, then we won't be found sleeping.
He assumed the name of Christ, of Jesus Christ, when he came to die on the cross.
To die on the cross.
It was first known when he was in the belly of Mary, when the angel told Mary that called the name Emmanuel. He is coming as a savior. So it was to do with his role to die on the cross.
At that particular time.
At that particular time. But when he entered into another phase of work, which is intercession, he assumed another name. Let's hear from Great Controversy.
Okay, yes.
The work of Christ as man's intercessor is presented in the beautiful prophecy of Zechariah concerning him whose name is the branch.
So Sister White is pointing to his name as the branch. And it's the name of his role as an intercessor.
As a man's intercessor. Okay. Yes, I heard that too.
It beautifully well in Zechariah, the name branch. So let's go to Zechariah chapter 6, verse 12. You find, is it there? Is that name branch there in Zechariah? So it is his name. No, go to Zechariah chapter 6, verse 12. Yeah.
And speak unto him, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, Behold the man whose name is the branch, and he shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of the Lord.
So the temple that he's building is the one where we finally should have the last church which has no tears.
Okay.
Because you know, from the 7 churches which started with it during the disciples, they have all those 7 churches, they have a fault.
Ephesus, there's something wrong with them.
There is something wrong with them. Even in Philadelphia, which was there in 1844, 1833, brotherly love, but they lost their first love.
Yes.
And Laodicea is worse off.
Neither cold nor hot.
No cold. What for what? For the gospel. For this kingdom message. It's not
that is
neither
coming.
for it. No, for you ask them, am I waiting for Christ to come? They say yes. Are you going to the kingdom? No. So you can't really define where they want to go. Which is Laodicea. Neither hot nor cold. You can't even educate them. Why? Because they say they're increased of goods and need of nothing. But God says, but truly speaking, you are wretched, poor,
miserable,
and the worst thing is
naked.
No, it's not naked. So no gospel. The Bible says they have no gospel of the kingdom, which is naked. They're naked. Now, which is the worst? Laodicea is the worst denunciation
of the seven churches.
But after Laodicea, we have the church triumphant. Who is building it? He is the one building it in his name called the branch.
The branch.
That's what we see in
so
the church
we should not be scared about this name branch when it's uttered.
Well,
because I know there are many people.
The devil knows he has caused people to call it with different names because somebody did something, said something there. But here, Pastor, we are dealing with the Bible and the spirit of prophecy. The name is
that's very true. Yeah, because I heard you reading from the spirit of prophecy.
We have nothing to do with hearsay or whatever. You see people come and say, do you know this name, branch, this name, that, without even any, that say the Lord. We say, no, excuse me. We believe in the spirit of prophecy and the Bible. That's it. And to the law and to the testimony.
And to the testimony.
We have seen it in Great Controversy, page 415, is there. And we have seen it in the spirit of prophecy and the Bible, in Zechariah chapter 6, verse 12, it's there.
It's there.
And if you go to Acts of the Apostle, XAA, go to 595, you find when we are talking about the church triumphant, it will be under the name branch. So,
is it?
Yes, it will be under the name branch. Let's go, 595.
Upon the foundation that
what
Christ...
Is the topic of that chapter?
The church triumphant.
The church triumphant, okay.
Right?
The church triumphant.
It won't be under the name Christ. It will be under the name branch. That's it.
Upon the foundation that Christ himself had laid, the apostles built the church of God. In the scriptures, the figure of the erection of a temple is frequently used to illustrate the building of the church. Zechariah refers to Christ as the branch that should build the temple of the Lord. He speaks of the Gentiles as helping in the work.
So you worry about, he says, he speaks of the Gentiles. They are the one who are going to erect that church triumphant under the name branch. You're worried about churches locking down and whatever. So we have one church in the kingdom, the church
branch.
This is called the branch.
Yeah,
so
I like
that name, but I don't know which church triumphant you're going to belong to.
Yeah, it looks like this name, the branch. Some
so
will be
that's why it is
saying,
the other angel, Christ. The fifth angel.
Okay, so you have to understand the two more messages that are coming for you to comprehend
the branch
the
message,
name branch.
You have to go further to the third angel, go to fourth and fifth. The fifth is the branch message.
So it's not you or BSM TV saying Christ is the branch. It's,
it's the
all
Bible
in the Bible.
It's there.
That those who want to be part of the temple are going to that Christ the branch is going to build, and Zechariah calls him the branch, not anyone else, not this platform, not you, not anyone, but it's the Bible.
If you follow the Bible that you hold. And the spirit of process that you vowed to follow. Yeah.
So what makes people so skeptical about this
because there are people who have abused that name. I think people abused it somehow, and yet like in any church, like even the Christian church, in the name of Christ, so many people are defaulting, backsliding, making so many things, but it doesn't change the name Christ. It doesn't change the name the name of the church to follow what a member has done or something. So the same thing with the branch. We just follow what is in the Bible and spiritual prophecy. That's it. And finally, that is the final church, I'm afraid.
Yes, yeah. So to those who are watching, yes, we have heard that Zechariah and the spirit of prophecy are saying Christ has a name, or when he is going to build the last church, he is going to be building that church being called Christ the branch. So yes, when you hear that name, know that it's referring to Christ. So Christ has a new name which he assumed when he went into the most holy place as men's intercessor. This is what we have been given by Elder Mashiri from the spirit of prophecy and the Bible, Zechariah, that has been read. So yes, thank you very much for that one. Yes.
The followers of Christ are to wait for the Lord, for their Lord, when he will return from the wedding.
Yes.
And then it's Luke chapter 12, verse 36.
Yes, Luke 12, 36. Okay, yes.
And then it says in GC 4, Great Controversy 427, first paragraph. So that they're saying we are waiting for Christ to return after the wedding. So that's why we said last time the wedding is in the kingdom. But when we go to heaven, it's the marriage supper. So you can see they are interlinked.
Yes.
Like it is when somebody weds today, go somewhere for a honeymoon or for a marriage supper. It doesn't all occur at one time. So in the kingdom is the reception of the kingdom, Sister White said.
Yes, true.
Of New Jerusalem in the kingdom. But in heaven, 1,000 years is the marriage supper. With the early writing quotation, which I said, let's now read and harmonize, because we want us to harmonize when they are returning from the marriage supper. Read also where you were reading. Jesus told the angels that all who...
Jesus told the angels that all who found him would understand the work which he was to perform.
Right.
I saw that while Jesus was in the most holy place, he would be married to the New Jerusalem.
Do you see what he's doing in the most holy place? He is married to his bride. So that's why I say the church is not the bride. New Jerusalem, I told you, is the Holy Ghost in the previous time.
Yeah.
While he is in the holy place, he is married to
Jerusalem.
To Jerusalem. And what?
Right.
I saw that while Jesus was in the most holy place, he would be married to the New Jerusalem.
Right.
And after his work should be accomplished in the holiest, he would descend to the earth in kingly power and take to himself the precious ones who had patiently waited his return.
Right. So you see, we are being told this marriage is occurring in the Holy of Holies. And when he comes on earth, we are in the kingdom with this marriage. And then when we go, so let's hear. So when he returns, he already has a kingdom. So we know exactly what he has. He has New Jerusalem. That's why in the Revelation chapter 3, verse 12, what does it say in Revelation chapter 3, verse 12?
Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God.
Right.
And he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven.
So you
from
see,
my
in
own...
the Holy of Holies, the wedding, the marriage between him and the New Jerusalem.
Yes.
So we saw the other day that they intercede. The two of them are interceding in Romans chapter 8, verse 26 and verse 24. So now it's this marriage that we are waiting for, which will be ushered in the kingdom. And then that's why this Jerusalem is coming from above, from the Holy of Holies. You understand? So it's him that overcome will be sealed one, the seal of my God, which comes with the third angel's message, and the New Jerusalem with the fifth message, the fourth message, and the glorious star containing Jesus' new name with the fifth message, which is now three seals. So this is what we should be sealed with, knowing exactly. That's why I say his saints know exactly what he's doing. And when that is accomplished, they know they are now waiting for these married ones to have a marriage, a wedding in the kingdom. And then the 1,000 years will be, the marriage supper will be in the 1,000 years, as we shall see maybe as you will proceed with your questions.
Yes. So that verse that says, these are they that follow the lamp whithersoever he goeth. They understood each and every section,
every step,
of this lamp, of the lamp. To say to this time he is doing this and he is going to do that, and after that he's coming to establish the kingdom.
It's no guesswork of what is happening in heaven. We should be together. That's why even the disciples, they were together with Christ on the day of Pentecost.
Oh yes,
Christ was in heaven. That's the point we're going to read in Christ's object lesson, but because of time we're not going to read. Christ was in, as he ascended in heaven, the enthronement into the mediatorial kingdom was done on the day of Pentecost, while it's on earth. What was there? His disciples were all gathered in Jerusalem, and they received the former rain as a token that he has been enthroned into the mediatorial kingdom. Now here, those who continue after these, the disciples, of course, on that day, they were baptized 3,000, and they continued day by day with that message. They are not as millions that we hear, that so many Sabbath keepers are millions and millions and billions. No, we know what happened to make these billions. They are still the disciples, and those who inherited that message step by step. They're steadily going in these numbers, not so many numbers. That's why we see the 144,000 now, only 144. There are only 144, not a million. And then others are second fruit. So don't tell me that we now have to divulge into millions and millions of people coming, receiving that message which Christ was going. No, you're better able to, to measure the strength of the followers of God when we are in the kingdom.
Yes, thank you very much for that. So there we go. The patience of the saints, those who follow the lamp whithersoever he goeth, are the ones who are going to be awake when he comes. So it means we have to search and the scriptures and find out what is he doing at this particular time. At what point is he going to come to establish his kingdom? At what point is he going to come to take us for 1,000 years? But that is going to be given to those who are constantly searching and prying into the symbolic service so that they can have a better understanding of the position and the place where Christ is. Right, let's hear.
You see, in that point, Pastor,
yes,
the 12 angels that you see, these three, William Miller, first angel, second angel, William Miller, and Sister White, the third.
Yes.
They all have these messages, the three messages had prophets.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yes, true. Yes.
And then these two also have prophets.
Okay, yeah, yes,
so if all these reject these prophets, then they can't know nothing. That's why they think it's just going to drop anytime without knowing these sequences of events.
So those two prophets that are coming to add on the other three are coming with latest information regarding to the whereabouts of Christ.
Information, because for them to have prophets, none of these will know this one is a prophet preaching that message. None of them, except those who join in the message, which these ones are preaching. Same as Sister White when she was coming from the previous church where she was, very well, without mentioning the name.
Yeah.
Those who remained there did not know she was a prophet. They didn't.
That she was.
Right. The only one who knew
that's
William
interesting.
Miller had been sent by God. She's the only one.
She's the only one who knew.
And those who followed William Miller, they are the ones who knew it was a message from God. But those who also followed Sister White, they did not know. I mean, they're the only ones who knew she was a prophet. And same as the fourth angel's message, there was a prophet already, it's finished.
So it's not about people coming. people coming and saying, who is the prophet? Who is the prophet?
And then you say this one, they won't even understand what you are talking about because they are not in the message. They don't even understand the message. How would they understand it's a prophet? So much as we know the fifth angel's message, which gives us the seal Jerusalem, Victor Otef was there, was the one who was leading the fifth angel, the fourth there. And then Benjamin Roden, the fifth. But all these prophets unto Benjamin Roden, they are all dead.
Right.
Much as in the Old Testament, all the prophets, when they died, what remained was John. That's why it was the greatest prophet of the Old Testament. Why? He was the last. The
last one, yes. Before entering into the...
And if you measure properly, John the Baptist wrote no book. Am I right, Pastor?
Yeah.
So they understood Jeremiah was a prophet because Jeremiah wrote the book of Jeremiah. And Moses wrote the 5 books.
Yes, all Isaiah, all of them. Yeah.
Isaiah, Micah,
Zechariah,
Daniel, all those they understood because they left the books. We understand Sister White because she left the books.
She left books, yeah.
And also, Viti Water, we go to the Davidians.
Left the book.
They understand Viti Water because he left the book, the shepherd wrote. And those who know Benjamin Roden, they understand because he wrote the branch message. It's Benjamin Roden. But when they all die, John the Baptist remains, who didn't write a book.
With no book.
Right.
Preparing
so
the way.
The prophet of the hour when Christ came was not writing any book.
So you are telling me
was just a forerunner. Pastor, was a forerunner of Christ to come and join. So much as we have books with William Miller and all those 80 Johns and Wagona and whatever, books with Sister White, books with Shepherd Ross and the Davidians, book with the branch message and those who follow the branch message, they all are dead. These prophets are dead, like it was in John's time. But what should arise in our time is someone who has not been seen in all these prophets, who does not even have an identity of the books, who is not identified by any book.
But
all of a sudden, John the Baptist was seen baptizing in the river Jordan, announcing the coming of Christ, and they knew he was a prophet. They knew he's somebody who now has no writing like Jeremiah, like Isaac, but who was a forerunner of Christ to come. And that's what they should see now.
Yeah. What's interesting here is when you're talking about John the Baptist, he actually used the prophecies of the old prophets.
Of all those, so the person we should expect right now should use all from William Miller.
Put them together.
And to Ben Roden branch, whether Sister Roden, who also identified the Holy Spirit, that is what she was feminine, 97.7. But all should be resting like it was in the Old Testament. They should be resting in the grave, waiting for the kingdom. Because when the kingdom starts, they all come because we have told by 637 of great controversy that all who died in the faith of the third angel's message will be resurrected. So
yes.
What prophet are we expecting at our time? A forerunner who has no books, who is writing no books, no strength. But what does that prophet do? Uses all these other prophets writing and compile them to give the people
and prepare the people.
This is what for the coming. I saw the active prophet who was, I saw God was preparing this prophet. She said so. I'll bring the quotation. She prepared this prophet who was going to mold the character of the saints who are going to meet Christ without testing them. Who is that one?
Yeah.
Who is that one? Yeah. Unless you are a reader, you will never know what is going on.
You will never know.
But the only person who will know what is going on are his saints.
Amen. Okay. Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
anyone
this,
who is not in any of these messages. If you are not in any of these messages, you cannot know the whole, 7. That's why we have the 7 last thunders, not trumpets,
yeah.
but thunders.
Thunders.
It's in Revelation chapter 10, the thunders. These were mentioning the names, and they were all 7. How were they 7? They were counted. John heard the names.
The names, yes.
Yeah, he heard that message of thunders. Thunders are the 7s that were there until the 7th one. The 7th one is the one called Elijah by Malachi chapter 4. It's the one now who's supposed to come up without anyone, how they were going to be suddenly surprised with the appearance of Christ. They are also suddenly surprised with the appearance of Elijah. The prophet. Yes. And should be someone who they cannot approve. When it was and he appeared, they did not approve.
No, they didn't. Yeah.
Looking what? Those who love the pomp and not, they will never agree that this is Christ. And he was identified by his message. His message, there was no other. Someone said, never man speak like him.
Like
never.
Him, yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you very much. That's quite deep to understand that John the Baptist was the last prophet prior to the New Testament, and he was the one who opened the way for Christ on his first advent. And using all the prophets to prepare the people. And in our time, right, God is going to use the last prophet using the 5 angels' messages to prepare the people for the coming kingdom. Wow, yeah.
Mix all these messages
together to the people
to understand.
And they are prepared for his coming to establish the kingdom.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Right. Let's hear our last. It's more or less this close to what you have been. I think part of it you've mentioned it. Okay. Let's hear what they.
Simple then.
Yes.
Greetings, elder. Greetings, brethren. I have heard so many people asking about the marriage supper. Is it going to be eaten at the second advent or not? Please, could you clarify this point for us so that many people would benefit from it? Thank you.
Right, the marriage supper issue keeps coming. Is it going to be eaten? This marriage supper of the Lamb, is it eaten at the second advent? So that's the question we have on the floor.
I was talking about it before.
Yes, you did, yeah.
The wedding is here in the kingdom, but after that, the supper is somewhere else. And you can see even in modern world, they have a wedding somewhere in a chapel, and next they will go for supper somewhere. It's normally not in the place where the wedding was. The supper is somewhere different. But without wasting your time, let's read from CG 387.2. Sister White said what CG 387.2. Start with the table is not a place. Because actually, it starts with Revelation 19.9.
So Revelation
19.9.
Okay.
Yeah. And he said unto me, Right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. Right. And he said unto me, These are the true sayings of God.
The table.
CG, yeah. The table is not a place where rebellion should be cultivated in the children by some unreasonable course pursued by the parents. The whole family should eat with gladness, with gratitude, remembering that those who love and obey God will partake of the marriage supper of the Lamb in the kingdom of God. And Jesus himself will serve them.
Right. So here it's divided into 2. As we said, the profession is for 2 classes. The first profession, we find the marriage supper is in the kingdom.
Yes.
The profession of the church, when we have the marriage, it's in the kingdom.
Yes, the church, they are admitted in the kingdom.
Yes, when the world finishes their probation as well, they also need a marriage supper. They need also to eat that supper. And where can they find that supper? Not in this world. It's in the millennium. That's the purpose of the millennium. But let's read for us not to have things that we go to CCH 36.1. It starts for where you left here.
Soon we heard his lovely voice again, saying, "Come, my people, you have come out of great tribulation and done my will, suffered for me."
Now, beside when Christ comes after the sealing of the 144,000,
yes,
then the greater multitude are sealed in the time of trouble, such as never was. So he's now calling those now who were tested by number 666 outside the church. He says, you have come, because when you saw in Revelation chapter 9, a greater multitude which no one should number, they were asked, where are these coming from? Let's read Revelation chapter 9, chapter 7, verse 9.
Verse 9.
Because you see in chapter 7, verse 1 up to 4 is the time for the 144,000 to be sealed, where the four winds are held. But the greater multitude on verse 9, the winds have already been released. But what do we see now? Because we saw the group of the 144,000 first. Now we are seeing a group of a greater multitude. These are the ones coming from outside the church, from the world. Now let's read verse 9.
After this,
7, verse 9. Yeah.
After this, I beheld
what did John see?
a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues.
So these are not Israel, because the 144,000, they say 12,000 from each tribe of Israel. But these ones are out of many kindreds, nations, and tongues. These are not Israel. These are Gentiles.
Okay, yes.
So let's read on, let's hear.
Which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands.
Right. So when you see what they are dressed like, palms in their hands, it's no longer in the kingdom. They are now in heaven. Listen to what happens to them, their description furthermore. The next verse.
And cried with a loud voice, saying, "Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb." And all the angels stood round about the throne, and about the elders, and the four beasts. And
so you see, it's in heaven now, where the four beasts are, the 24 elders are, is no longer on this earth. And what?
And the angels stood around the throne, and about the elders and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces and worshiped God, saying, Amen, blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be unto our God forever and ever. Amen.
Right.
And one of the elders answered, saying unto me,
listen to that.
What are these which are arrayed in white robes? And whence came they? And I said unto him, Thou knowest.
You know.
And said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, and washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb.
So these are not come. The 144,000 don't come from great tribulation. They come from a time where the four winds, the tribulation are held. But these ones are coming now where the tribulation are released. Now, when you go to the quote I gave you in CCH, go to CCH. When Christ is saying to them, come, my people, you have come out of great tribulation. Who does he refer to? The greater multitude. That's what I'm saying. Now, the marriage supper of the church was in the kingdom, but the marriage supper of the greater multitude is in the 1,000 years. Let's hear what he says then.
Come, my people.
Right?
You have you have come out of great tribulation and
Yes.
done my will,
Right?
suffered for me.
Right?
Come into the to supper,
So you
for I
see,
will
they
gird
suffered
myself.
for God. Why? That's where the mark of the beast was. The 666. They had their trial also of the 666. But the church of God, those who rejected, had their trial of Ezekiel 9. They had to overcome. They had to reject the 3 seals. So Ezekiel 9 has punished them. But these ones, those who overcome in the church and 100,000 who were used now to collect these ones. But these ones, some of them, I said, will be collected. Some of them will die. Yeah, these are the other ones who will die. The 144,000 will die. But this one, some of them will preach by their death. So that's why Christ is saying, you have suffered for me. Come and now and suffer with me. What is it? It's now after the general close of probation for the whole world. That's where now we will be in the cloud in 1,000 years, in millennium. These are now being offered their own supper. Now, say, let's hear. We have overcome. Read. Come, my people. Start where you say, come, my people.
Come, my people. You have come out of great tribulation and done my will, suffered for me. Come into supper, for I will gird myself and serve you. We shouted, Hallelujah, glory.
Right. So this is another supper being given to these who came from tribulation. Then 44,000 didn't come from tribulation. The 4 winds were held. But this one, the 4 winds had been let loose, and they overcome out of this mark of the beast. They had to overcome. So that's why now they're being given their own supper. Read on where you left.
Okay. We shouted, Hallelujah, glory, and entered into the city. And I saw a table of pure silver.
Right.
It was many miles in length.
Right. You see now the table which was in the kingdom, the evil ones were even criticizing it. We read it. That they were criticizing. So it means it was here on earth. But this table, which the now greater multitude, when we are in heaven for 1,000 years, it's many miles. Nobody can see how many miles is prepared for the whole world, right?
And I saw a table of pure silver. It was many miles in length, yet our eyes could extend over it. I saw the fruit of the tree of life.
There is a tree of life in heaven. On earth, there is no tree of life. So you see, the tree of life, you are shown here.
The manna, almonds, figs, pomegranates, grapes, and many other kinds of fruit. I asked Jesus to let me eat of the fruit. He said, not now. Those who eat of the fruit of this land go back to earth no more. But in a little while, if faithful, you shall both eat of the fruit of life, of the tree of life, and drink of the water of the fountain. And he said, you must go back to the earth again and relate to others what I have revealed to you.
So Sister White in a vision asked to eat of that tree of life. When she was shown this table prepared for the marriage supper, for this marriage supper for the whole greater multitude who came out of tribulation. So, but God said, if you eat of it, you won't go down to earth. You stay here permanent. So you have to go down, and this tree of life. And what happened? What was it? What was the promise?
Then an angel bore me gently down to the dark world, to this dark world. Sometimes I think I can stay here no longer. All things of earth look so dreary. I feel very lonely here, for I have seen a better land.
So this marriage supper table was very long, though it is so long. But it's difficult to get the people to go there. People are doubting and doubting. It's so difficult for the people to go and attend these marriage suppers. So we have seen there are two. The marriage here is in the kingdom, and then we saw the table is up there with the manna, with all the fruits of the tree of life is in there, it's in heaven.
And the greater multitude.
They've gone on and on and on, but on your own, you can read also the whole chapter on Christ's object lessons, page 221. 2.1. And also you can read Christ object, that's 223.3. If you are on your own, and then another one, Christ object lesson, page 224. And you saw who is going to be serving in that marriage supper is Christ himself. I can go on and on, but if you want a full video on the scene in heaven and what we'll be doing right through the 1,000 years, it's very interesting. Very interesting. That's why God says, blessed is him that readeth. That readeth. Because it's not going to be an introduction for us to go there and be told this is tree of life, this is not. Everything is there in our books. We should read.
Thank you very much.
I hope I answered that question first.
Yes. Yes, I think you have answered the question, and you have also given us the quotations to go and read when we get time. So yes, thank you very much for explaining, I think, this series of events that are to transpire or to happen before even the second coming of Christ. And also you have also mentioned what is going to happen after the millennium, the difference between what is going to happen after the millennium and what happens prior to millennium, like when the kingdom is established here on earth, and who are going to be subjects of that kingdom there, and how the greater multitudes are also going to come in and have the supper in heaven, where there is a table that's miles and miles long. And also you also spoke about the part that we should follow Christ. If we understood him, his position, his job, and what he is doing at the moment, we will understand about the establishment of the kingdom. And if we follow the lamp whithersoever he goeth, if he goes into the most holy place, we have to study much about the most holy place and about the symbolic service for us to also understand and know that the coming out of the Holy of Holies is not the coming of Christ to take us for 1,000 years. Yes, it's been a lovely study, Elder Mashiri, and thank you very much for sparing such time for us to pry into the scriptures, and also to help others who are finding it difficult to understand this message that is not common, especially when you talk about the new name of Christ and Christ being the branch. It's something that is not common, that we did not grow up knowing, but it's in the Bible, and it's also in the spirit of prophecy. So thank you very much for coming out and spending your time with us. May God bless you and have a blessed Sabbath.